structure where you're actually finding the language. You want that rich paragraph or those couple of rich sentences that you feel that you can get something out of it and they can get something out of it. So the classroom that I went to observe, the first thing that they did was they had one of these. The one with the 4 blocks. You could do this however. I saw teachers in the classroom, they did it however they felt. They used a piece of paper. Some of them had copies. I guess it depends on the teacher. What you do is you take down a juicy sentence. You read it as a whole. When he sets his mind to something, he does not give up. He works hard and keeps his focus on winning world records. Then you ask the students, what do you think that means? Does anyone have any? What do they think that means? Does anyone have any answers to that?
Perseverance? Well, of course they wouldn't say that.
They wouldn't say that, but they might be.
He can do anything he wants to do.
He could do anything that he wants to.
He works hard.
He works hard. So you're taking, what you're doing is you're extracting from the students what they think it is. Sometimes it's going to be, I've seen it in the video and as well as in person, it's going to be something similar. But you want the kids to start thinking about what are they reading and what do they think it is. Then, the juicy words might be focus. The juicy words might be sets his mind. Then they make it into smaller sentences, which was what you were saying. You were kind of summarizing what this paragraph was and what did it mean to you. And then at the end, after there's deconstruction and then reconstruction, then you, at the end, you're going to put what do you think it is now? But that's after a lot of examples. So let's say, you start out with, what does this passage mean? Then you move on to, you write your thoughts. Then you could talk about vocabulary, like I said, the new words, focus. What are even records? World records. That's something that a kindergarten or first grade might not, they might not know. Then you could even go on taking parts of speech, looking at, recognizing, maybe looking at what is, when he sets his mind. Kids might know what setting the table is, but what is really setting your mind? And then you could make those sentences dry. The way you would make them dry is by, like I said, writing them out. What do you feel that this is? And you keep going. It's about not giving up. It's about focusing. It's about working hard so that you can get a world's record. But they're not going to come out and say they know what a world's record is. So then you take this apart and you make dry sentences out of it, and then it leads back to what really the passage is. There's a lot of things that you can find. You could do main idea. What is the main idea? There's, in first grade they should be able, with a lot of modeling, be able to tell you what the main idea is of this passage. Then what they do is they have the kids think about it again, and then they think of the main idea, and then they try to visualize. So there's a lot of aspects that could go on. There's a lot of little lessons that could go on just by looking at this one paragraph. And I feel like they could get a lot out of it. Even grammar. You could look at, is it in present tense? Is it in past tense? There are other ones that we're going to be working on that you're going to find more lessons to be taught. I kind of picked a simple one. But really, when he sets his mind to something, that's something that children have to visualize. That's something that they have to think about what is sets his mind. You could even give examples. Now, another thing is that when you take a vocabulary word, say you think focus. You ask the students what is focus. You could always have the students, once the students get to recognize what focus is because you used it in a sentence, you used it with your own example, you could have the children write sentence strips of what, using that word focus. And, it could be displayed where now they have a connection to what that vocabulary word is. And then what also they could do is that they can take an index card. Focus could be on one side, and what's an easier, a tier 1 word that could help them identify what focus is. So what would be another word that I would use instead of focus? Focus is a tier 2 word. So if I was going to use a tier 1 word, what would a kindergarten or first grade say that focus is?
Pay attention.
Pay attention. That's something that they might know. So on one side of the index card, they could have pay attention. On the other side, they could have focus. And that's just a way of them building that vocabulary word and using tier 1 words with tier 2 words.
That's also good to scaffold with the good reading habits, because that is one of the first habits, to focus. A good reader focuses. So that's actually pretty good.
So using sentences, I just feel like instead of giving them 10 vocabulary words with 10 definitions or whatever, you're using it in context. And I feel like children will remember it more. And then, you can also say, there are words that you're going to find that sometimes his focus or he works could be a noun. It could be a verb. So how is it in this sentence? You could find out he sets his mind, but sets could be a noun or it could be a verb. It depends on the context of the paragraph. So that's like a skill that kids also need when they're reading. And this, to me, all these juicy sentences really sums up to, can I read something and really comprehend what I'm reading? Can I use all my skills? So I feel like this is good practice and good modeling if you're going